Who is the weaker, man or woman?
Woman.
Which of them is entitled to the larger share in the inheritance?
The man.
Now, if I'd been making deductions by analogy, I should have said that the woman should get the larger share, because on the face of it, the weaker one is entitled to more consideration. But I've not said so. To take up another subject, which do you think is the higher duty, prayer or fasting?
Prayer.
That being the case, it should be permissible for a woman during her menstruation to delay her prayers and miss her fasts. But the ruling I give is that she can delay her fasting, but need not make up her prayers.
So impressed was Imam Bakir with Abu Hanifa that he kissed his forehead. Abu Hanifa learnt much from Imam Bakir as well as from his son, Imam Jafir Sadiq. Abu Hanifa's reputation and popularity spread like wildfire. Soon, news of his imminent arrival in a village or town would bring thousands to assemble and meet him and listen to his lectures. It was a popularity that was not to go unnoticed by the ruling establishment. Although Abu Hanifa had reached the level of mujtahid in Islam, that is, somebody who was able to derive rulings directly from the Quran and Hadith, it wasn't until after the death of his teacher, Hamad, that he would establish his own school. Circumstances dictated that he take up the professorial chair that was once occupied by his teacher. In the initial stages, only former pupils of Hamad attended the classes. Yet in a few days its popularity grew to such an extent that most of the other schools in Kufa closed down and became part of Abu Hanifa's. Barring Spain, all parts of the Islamic world were represented in his school. From Mecca to Baghdad, from Damascus to Algiers, and from Georgia to Bukhara, all came in search of knowledge. Abu Hanifa's influence was as far-reaching as the territory of the Caliph. While Abu Hanifa was busy imparting his knowledge on all those around him, major changes were happening in the political establishment. Rebellions and revolts were taking place in different parts of the Umayyad Caliphate. Caliphs would come and go, yet the troubles remained all the same. During this period, the conspiracy to install the Abbasids on the caliphal throne was gaining pace. The Umayyad Caliphate was made up from the tribe of Banu Umayyah. The rival tribe of Banu Abbas longed for political authority and power, and soon set about dethroning their tribal rivals. These were not the only problems at the time. With the spread of Islam to far and distant lands, new concepts and philosophies began to creep into Islamic thought, giving rise to sometimes heretical beliefs and sects. Chief amongst these groups were the Mu'tazilites and the Kharijites. The Mu'tazilites were heavily influenced by Greek philosophy and rationalism. The Kharijites held the belief that if anyone committed a sin in Islam, they automatically became a disbeliever. They also held that those who do not agree with their views were also disbelievers. On one occasion, a group of Kharijites burst into the Imam's class with the intention of killing him and his pupils.
Who are you people?
People seeking refuge. Allah has said, if any polytheist seeks refuge, give it to him, so that he may listen to Allah's speech, and then escort him to a place of safety.
Upon hearing Abu Hanifa's response, the leader of the Kharijites turned to the rest of his group.
Recite the Quran for them to hear, and then escort them to their homes.
The quick thinking and intelligence of Abu Hanifa had disarmed the Kharijites. They had come with the intention of asking him his beliefs and then assassinating him. But Abu Hanifa's use of this verse placed an obligation upon them. They considered him a polytheist, yet the verse commanded that they protect him. Abu Hanifa was to have many encounters with the Kharijites and was to become a thorn in their side that they could find no way of removing. The Kharijites also believed that arbitration was forbidden. For this reason, they condemned Ali over his disputes with Muawiyah, in which he sought arbitration and mediation through others. On one occasion, a well-known Kharijite leader by the name of Dahak confronted Abu Hanifa over the position of Ali, armed with a sword and pointing it at him.
Repent!
Repent from what?
I am told that you maintain that Ali agreed to have his dispute with Muawiyah decided by arbitration. As he was in the right, how could he agree to arbitration?
If it is your wish to put me to death, I have nothing to say. But if you wish to find out the truth, then permit me to argue the question with you.
I want to debate with you.
If we cannot decide the issue between ourselves, what then?
We can appoint somebody as an umpire. He can do it.
This is exactly what Ali did. Why blame him for it?
Dahak realized immediately that just as he in that very moment had asked for mediation, Ali, may Allah be pleased with him, had done just the same. Outwitted and realizing the foolishness of his argument, Dahak retired quietly. Abu Hanifa's reputation and brilliant mind were now well established. His influence was so vast, the Umayyad court began to suspect his complicity in every rebellion that took place against the ruling authority, although this was not true. Abu Hanifa tried to distance himself from the palaces of the ruling elite, fearing its attractions would destroy him. He would be immensely wary of having close ties with the ruling authority. He once said of visiting the Caliph,
"Go rarely to see him, and beware of him as if he were fire. Never go to the court except for some specific purpose, lest you lose the respect you enjoy there. Should the king offer you the post of judge, do not accept it without making sure that he approves of your exercising your personal judgment, lest you should have to act against it under official pressure. Never accept a position you are not fit to hold."
Once, a governor of Kufa by the name of Ibn Hubayra approached Abu Hanifa.
"I would consider it a favor if you could come and see me occasionally."
What is the point in my visiting you? If you treat me kindly, I might fall into your trap. If, on the other hand, you receive me rudely, I would consider it a disgrace. I do not need anything from your treasury, and whatever I have, nobody can snatch away from me.
During the reign of the Caliph Marwan al-Himar, Yazid bin Umar Hubayra was appointed governor of Iraq. He gave political positions to outstanding authorities in Islamic law, such as Ibn Abu Layla and Dawood bin Hind. Fully aware of the excellence of Abu Hanifa, he offered him the post of chief treasurer, a post Abu Hanifa had no intention of taking up.
If Yazid were to ask me to count the doors of the mosques, I would not agree to do it for him, not to speak of my sealing the death warrant of a Muslim signed by him.
Yazid, furious with the response, ordered Abu Hanifa to be imprisoned and whipped 100 times daily. Suffering immense pain and torture, Abu Hanifa did not relent on his position, and Yazid was forced to stop the punishment. Then, in the year 132 Hijri, events took a new and dramatic turn. After all the years of plotting and planning, the Abbasids finally succeeded in overthrowing the Umayyads. Amongst the early Abbasid caliphs was Mansur. During his reign, rebellions were taking place all over the new dynasty. In the name of order, they would be quashed with brutal ferocity. Abu Hanifa had been watching the excesses of the Abbasids from the beginning of their reign and quickly concluded that they were not fit to be caliphs. He did not hide his views. This made him many enemies in the caliph's court. Rabi', the Caliph Mansur's chamberlain, was particularly hostile to Abu Hanifa. Using any opportunity he could find, he would try to bring harm to him. On one occasion, Abu Hanifa was summoned to the Caliph's court with Rabi' in attendance. Rabi' saw this as a perfect opportunity to do away with Abu Hanifa.
"Commander of the faithful, this man contradicts your well-revered ancestor, Abdullah ibn Abbas. Your ancestor said that if a man took a vow and uttered the phrase, Inshallah, a day or two later, the phrase would be considered as forming part of his vow, and it would not therefore be incumbent upon him any longer to fulfill the vow. Contrary to this, Abu Hanifa gives the ruling that if the phrase Inshallah was spoken along with the vow, it would be considered as part of the vow, while otherwise it would be utterly meaningless and ineffectual.